Hello techies. Welcome to our brand new video series focused on helping you get the most of your experiences in life. Before we start the video, let's know about Upptalk. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms.
Okay, so there are multiple ways to start the business process, just like we saw in the hire business process as well. So it has this huge section called Who Can Start the Business Process. Now take a look at this. So we are talking about the expense report business process. Right. So can you tell me who can start the business process by the action create expense report? So who all are allowed to create an expense report? That is, create expense report for pre-hire. I asked who can create an expense report. Okay. So if you look at, your answer is not wrong, but there is a better answer. You see, look at this section where the initiating action is, create expense report. So who can do that? Who can create an expense report? Okay, the contingent worker is self, employee is self. That's correct. Yes, that's correct, because that's logical as well, isn't it? The employee should be able to create an expense report. The contingent workers should be able to create an expense report. But see, what kind of security groups are these? Let me ask you this. What kinds of security groups are these? Contingent worker is self, employee is self. Is it a role-based or user-based or process maintained? Process maintained. Process maintained, right. It's a process maintained security group. All right, because there we saw examples like as self and all workers. Those are the two examples. So okay, this contingent worker is self, so they can initiate the process to create an expense report for themselves. When it says employee is self, so will they be able to create an expense report for a colleague? An ordinary employee. Will they be able to create an expense report for a colleague? No, it says create expense report, but to be done by employee as self. They will be able to create one for themselves, but not for somebody else. Who can create expense reports for other people? So let's try to see if there are any other tasks that we can use. There is a task which says create expense report for pre-hire. Now can someone remind me who is a pre-hire? Where did we see a pre-hire before? Hiring. Just before hiring, right? Before the hiring process initiates, we create a pre-hire. And what is a pre-hire? Or what or who is a pre-hire? It's a candidate. It's a candidate that we are about to hire into the system. Right. So who can create an expense report for a pre-hire? Now in some organizations, at least a few years ago, sometimes what used to happen was like the company would reimburse the expenses that a person would have to incur for getting recruited. Right. Like let's say I say that okay, My office is in Wall Street. Right. My office is in Wall Street. I want you to come down to my office for a face-to-face interview. Right. And the candidate who I'm interviewing might be in Chicago. Right. But I want that person to come down to my New York Wall Street office for a face-to-face interview. So then what happens? The candidate has to incur some expenses. Right. To come over from Chicago to New York for this job. So why will the candidate come? Right. Or why will the candidate spend a lot of money to come and stay in New York just to appear for the interview? So what happened was, in a lot of the cases, that organizations used to do what? They used to reimburse. That okay, it's okay, we will pay the expenses. We will pay you. We will pay you some, let's say train charges, or bus tickets, or maybe flight tickets. We will reimburse that, and we will also reimburse your stay and some meals for the interview, right? So it used to happen. Nowadays we have video calling. Right. So it is not that common. But at least 5, 6 years ago, it was quite common for employers to call candidates down for a face-to-face interview and also reimburse the expenses. Okay, so now tell me, coming back to our discussion on business process definitions and security policies, can you tell me who can create an expense report on behalf of an applicant or a pre-hire? Sorry, who? HR partner, and who else? Recruiter or implementers, managers? Right. So all the security groups that are mentioned in this particular box. Right. They will be able to create an expense report for an applicant or a pre-hire. They would be able to do that. Now let's say I do not want the expense data entry specialist to be able to do that. Then what should I do? I do not want the expense data entry specialist to be able to create an expense report for pre-hire. Then what should I do? You have to change the security like the auto use. Yes, correct. But in this screen, what do I need to do? Remove it from the security group. Just take it off. Right. Press the X button. Remove it. Okay, just remove that security group and then do what? After you remove, save it, and then you have to do something special. Activate. Activate. Right. That's the most common. That's the most important thing that you have to do after you remove it. Save the security policy, but do not forget to activate. Okay, so yes, you can add a group here. You can remove by just clicking on this cross icon here. This X, and it will remove the security group from this list. So all the security groups in this list. They have access to create an expense report for a pre-hire. Similarly, the Submit Expense Report web service. This is the integration. If you want to submit bulk expense reports, or if you do it on a separate system like Concur, SAP Concur used to be, it still is a very popular expense reimbursement kind of a product. SAP Concur. So if the organization already uses that SAP Concur, then what happens? You can create that expense report in Concur and pull over that information using an integration into Workday. Okay, so in that case you can use this particular web service, which is Submit Expense Report web service, to create that expense report in Workday. Okay, and then go through the approval process and etc. So who all are able to do that?
Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us at sales@uptalk.com.